Before I start, little confession. I have a very problematic relationship with academia. It's kind of love and hate. And the last time I was thrown out, it was so bloody, I don't think I'll go back. Although I never say never. And that kind of informs what I'm going to talk about tonight. The other thing is, in one of my other lives, I teach maths, GCSE maths, A-level maths, any sort of maths, private maths tuition, which gives me a kind of a take on what it means to be teaching. And the way I kind of understood the problem, because I'm a philosopher, is about what it is that schools do. And if you really want to understand what their function is in any modern society, and what technology might do, then it's a mistake to understand it in isolation, as a problem of a here and now. Because any philosopher worthy of his salt, or her salt, if you ask a question, will go, and start to talk about the Greeks. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with Greece, and then we're going to move across time, ending with some modern theorists of power and knowledge and engagement, and show you different ways the problem of education, schools and engagement have been understood at different times, in different worlds. So, where do philosophers traditionally begin? It's not just with the Greeks, it's with three thinkers, Plato, Aristotle, the one I'm going to start with. You see, 2,400 years ago or so, the great seismic event happened that kind of defines philosophy. The trial of Socrates. And central to that trial was a moment. Socrates is on trial for his life. But this is a moment he turns on his would-be accusers and starts to torment them. They accuse him of corrupting the youth of Athens. I thought I said I educated them. But if you are the expert, Thrasymachus, can you tell me, who do you think should educate the youth of Athens? Oh, it's obvious, the people of Athens. What? All of them? All of them! Oh, what lucky little fellows. The youth of Athens are. What have I been doing all these years? Why have I bothered educating anyone about anything? But Socrates goes on to say, but is this really right? I mean, do you educate a youth by showing him, do you educate a horse by showing him broken-in horses? Do you make a pot by showing him clay pots? Or do you trust the art of craft to those who have spent a lifetime learning that art? Who then do you think should educate? The people of Athens, who don't give a hoot about their youth? Or a man who has spent his life trying to understand how to teach? Now, Socrates is really onto something. The point he's making is that there are two ways you can understand education in the Greek world, but arguably ours. On the one hand, you have the Thrasymachus, Menelaus kind of level. Education is about initiation. You're paying your price. When I'm teaching kids GCSE or A-level, I always say, you're a mistake if you think this is just about education. This is an initiation point. A university is kind of like the dear old Bekonaku, who lock 19-year-old kids in a box for a year. Or the Yamanenu, who have an initiation rite where they break their arm. What we do is we make you do maths GCSE. I mean, how else do you do it in a technological society? That is the Thrasymachus' view. And in reply, Socrates is putting a very different view. For him, education. Do you not see? Knowledge is good. Good is virtue. Virtue is freedom. Depend upon it. All evil comes from ignorance and stupidity. So I say to you, the unexamined life is not worth living. And so it has seemed to me, throughout these long years, I was put here by some sprite or god, to be as it were your trainer, teaching you to think. showing you how to be free. In a nutshell, education, any education, universities, schools, initiation rite versus an attempt to understand freedom, understand and so set your mind free. Except, of course, it wasn't that simple. The trial was written by Plato. He was a founder of an academy which had its own initiation rites. And that argument of Thrasymachus that education is just initiation depended on knowledge. The point was, both of them were justifying something that was already more complicated than they thought they were talking about. And you still have those two movements in education. At the moment, as a maths teacher, I'm peculiarly aware of it. Probably none of you know. Maths GCSE is going from one pole to the other. About 3 years ago, the last legacy of the new Labour government was to create the best maths GCSE that I've ever taught in 25 years. It's the one that actually makes maths useful, that makes kids think for themselves. But surprise, surprise, Michael Gove didn't like it. And so it's being replaced by something that's just an initiation rite that wouldn't have disgraced maths O-level as Michael Gove took it in the 1950s. It's an act of crass intellectual vandalism. I'm revealing myself as a Socratean there. But the point is that this debate analyses any way we try to understand how you educate, so that headmasters' careers are made or broken by it. That argument of Greece that saw ultimately knowledge and schools linked to research centres where people were trying to be free, and also temples, I suppose, where people were being initiated. Didn't last in the ancient Greeks, or Romans did. And it was swept away by the medieval view. Now, the medieval view of scholarship depended on a world that was different. Far less texts. Books were a rarity. But yet, unlike the Greek world, which was divided up into between those people who understood things and slaves, and the slaves kept the people who understood things alive, the point about Christendom was that everybody had to be part of the debate. And once everybody is being part of the debate becomes much more dangerous and difficult. So the role of universities, Oxford, Cambridge and Sorbonne, was actually to define questions. Schools then, any school, business schools, are about defining what you can ask. Saying that is a heresy, you can't do that. Allowing other ones. Within that, the role of masters, which was traditionally to provide answers, was almost secondary. So that's ability to question. That ability to define, if you like, the idea hoard. The problem, of course, came when different questions were ruled legitimate by different schools. As a rule, and I'm not going to encapsulate all of medieval philosophy very quickly, but it came down to this. There were two approaches. On the one hand, there was an attempt to understand the world by what you knew. And on the other, there was an attempt to say, you don't know anything, and to prove that other people didn't know anything at all. And that second one won. So that Christendom kind of collapses into a stupor of despair around about 1400. The universities become split and divided between those people who say, you can't know anything, let's walk away from the whole thing. That's Occam and his razor. Don't believe anything metaphysical. Only believe what you see. And those people who thought you could learn about the world and say about things beyond it. The problem then with a question-based approach is that it's actually very hard to define the set of questions you can ask. But perhaps that's why you have schools to do it. This is kind of religious. They're defining what you can think. Moving quickly on. And this one goes much more directly, perhaps, to this issue about schools and about what it means to have a school. Because once you get the end of medievalism, say about 1470, you get two theories, deep theories about organisation. And they're most engaging, I suppose, exponents are Machiavelli and law. Now, Machiavelli is one of those people, you will know one book but not the other. I say the name, and those of you who know anything a bit about philosophy will know that Machiavelli wrote a book called The Prince. And The Prince was the ultimate manual for a politician. A politician has to be supple in his statecraft, not very scrupulous. He must always think of his dignity and act so that his dignity might be guaranteed. Universities then must act in their own interest. But Machiavelli's point is this, is that if you are somebody who has a prince who's good, you're actually quite happy, because part of the interest of a prince is keeping his people happy. He's always tiger riding. He's about 3 decisions away from a revolution. And although he must always think about his dignity, he must think about his people second to that dignity. So you kind of have a model that on one level is totally unprincipled, but it's only unprincipled because beneath it lies chaos. Kind of a theory of government practice, like almost ever, everything is chaotic. It is crisis management. But crisis management with an idea of serving an institution. That was on the one hand. Machiavelli wrote a second book. The second book is a theory of democracy. That theory of democracy, this book's called The Discourses, uses history to show there's another way you can understand organisations. They don't have to be top-down things governed by a prince who must govern for his own benefit. They could be bottom-up. They could come up from the streets. They could be an immanent force that can organise and reorganise and rethrow everything. And Machiavelli puts his finger on the problem of any revolution. But also any attempt to have a bottom-up approach. You don't know what you're going to get. You could get a wonderful state, a utopia, or you could just get bloody anarchy. So he puts the problem. You're going to risk it. The point is, he's saying, is that any organisation, a prince is certain you know what you're going to get. Once you start getting rid of that, once you start having a chaos where everybody's just doing their own thing, or just engaging and hoping the whole thing coheres, you really don't know where it's going to go. A little bit later, Thomas More has exactly the same argument, but he puts it the other way around, really. The book I'm thinking of is another one that gets widely read as Utopia. Now, if you're a kind of a slightly lefty idealist, like I have been, and I probably am again, you will read Utopia and you'll side with the utopians, who live a very Spartan life, very well organised, very monkish. And the Western world seems a bit kind of crass, really. And yet, hidden in the book of Utopia, More has a justification for universities, for scholarship, for this kind of idea of an elite, separate world. Asgard was talking about universities being apart, because he says it's only by being apart, and that being apart, being supported by something like private property, that you can actually have beautiful abstract knowledge that others can actually then use. It's that very separation that gives academic organisations, schools, their power. And once you start querying that, you don't know where you're going to go. You don't know whether you're going to get anything better. That idea of what's the point of a school, maybe it's about defining what you can think about, becomes very important about 100 years later, 17th century. And I'll give you 3 moments from that. The first is one of my favourite 17th century things. By the way, 17th century thought is my speciality. I can go on and on and on about 17th century thinking, but don't worry, I'm not going to. I'm going to give you 3 thinkers, 3 moments, all revolving around this question about what is the point of debate in schools, whether you can have a debate, whether you can have a form of understanding that is genuinely coming from practice, or whether you need a school. The first one, in fact the first 2 you will again are fairly well established philosophers, although I'm using them in our context. First one is Hobbes. Quick recap. Hobbes is the man who says, life is nasty, brutish and short. without a state. So a state of nature is chaos. And you have to have an organisation, a body that is capable of organising it, because it's better than the alternative. And you can't have an open system, because that will devolve into an anarchy. But why? The important thing is why. Why Hobbes would be very mistrustful of any system of government, of management theory that had a listening management talking to its people. It's very straightforward. He would think it was either self-undermining or pointless. Let me explain. The point of government for Hobbes, the point of schools, is to set the assumptions by which the entire system starts to move forward. Once we all share assumptions, once we all know what we're talking about, we're all speaking the same language, we can actually agree. The problem in the state of nature is that nobody knows what they're talking about, because my words and your words don't have to have the same meaning. So our debate can go endlessly past of ourselves, and we can be caught in a world of perpetual criticism. That's the point about perpetual criticism. Well, it's very easy to critique somebody if you just simply say, all your words have different meanings, all my words are better. Then of course you're caught in a perpetual state of war. Straight Hobbes. The point then about a school, the point then about a university, the point is to create the initial assumptions on which thought is then built up, based, and worked through. That's Hobbes. The alternative side would be very much on the side of practice, and that's Locke. So Locke would say, a state of nature, a state of abundancy. But in order for humans to guarantee their wealth, they need minimal cooperation. So theorists, and the theorist you mentioned, whose name is temporarily forgotten, the management theorist who thinks you can go both directions, is really working in a Lockean tradition, where you can have organisations that come together by free reasoning individuals, and they're cooperating insofar as they all gain something by it and through it. And it's kind of an open, porous system. Maybe. But for my money, that Hobbes problem is still a problem. Which is why I come on to my third thinker. Again, potential. Spinoza. Those of you who've never seen my performance might not know that Spinoza is my great philosophical love. He writes this incredibly subtle stuff. Very subtle philosopher from the mid-17th century. He was originally Portuguese, ends up in the United Provinces, so he's living in the Hague. And he's the man for whom the phrase pantheism was invented. He doesn't use it himself, it's invented to understand him. So me and God, and God in me. And critical to Spinoza's analysis is a very deep problem about the nature of knowledge. Spinoza will say there are two sorts of knowledge. Both Hobbes and Locke are fundamentally right. They're not contradictory, but that's the problem. So on the one hand, in order to be able to start understanding things at all, you've got to start off at an arbitrary level. You've got to have somebody say, this means that means that, that's it. So you've got to have a management that's capable of giving assumptions. But on the other level, once one actually starts engaging with the world, once one actually starts being practical, one actually reaches out to one's fellow man. And two individuals are more capable of creating strange little unions. They're capable of creating new thoughts, feeding backwards and forwards, one with the other, so that the management and the workers, for want of other words, actually can communicate with each other and gain more by it. But the problem, what Spinoza would say, is that sometimes it's very hard to tell these two worlds apart. Once you actually start in an exchange, you might move the mood music just a little, and the same exchange could feel like an arbitrary relationship, could feel antagonistic. In a sense, it's only because both sides know that they are exchanging. They know that the thing is dynamic. That makes it an exchange at all. And so Spinoza's point is, it's actually very difficult to keep that kind of thing going. It's very easy then for that kind of founder or from somebody to outside saying that's not an exchange at all. What they hear is arbitrary and unjust and just the same. So the 17th century view of that kind of debate about schools is that the role of a school is to define where you're going to start the debate. Its aim is to create free associations between individuals. The question is whether you can actually ever go between. The lesson, of course, of the 17th century was endless bloody wars, no. Period. Final two thinkers, and then I'll just talk about three modern theorists and then we'll be done. I'm going to go a little further forward to the other end of the Enlightenment and give you two arguments about why, two arguments about what academia is doing, let's put it that way, and why schools see themselves apart, and why they understand themselves as something separate. The first is Hume. Now, Hume is another one of those philosophers. He's kind of badly understood but widely known. So, if any of you know anything about philosophy, you might know the name Hume. He's the man who kind of presents a rather damning argument against all truths of God's existence, and also famously says that all of reality has to be defined by perceptions. And the further you get away from perception, the less you can be guaranteed the reality of anything, which means abstract ideas like God or the self become increasingly tricky. Now, Hume doesn't quite say that, but don't worry about it, he doesn't quite say that. He actually says reality is the difference between memory and reality. And we'll say that things are real because they're more vivid in your mind. And the problem with abstractions is that they're never vivid, you're never quite sure what you're thinking. You're always jumping around and around and around. But that actually gives him a huge problem. Because at his heart, Hume wants to have a theory of morality that starts with an individual and thinks about that individual as somehow responsible and able to reach out to his fellow humans and exchange with them. So if you don't have a theory of yourself, how on earth do you start off with yourself in order to reach to others, in order to form something moral, in order to form some sort of exchange, in order to be able to start anything? Why don't I just dissolve into you? And this is what Hume thinks is the importance of pride. The point about pride is, as I have a pride in myself, I have a feeling that I associate with myself. This pride, Hume says, starts off with other things, houses, or education, or occupation. And it's what gives you then, ultimately, a feeling of who you are that allows you to communicate with others. Now, any debate which is very riven between people who are involved in practice and academia, in a sense, is a debate about different strategies by which selves are being conjured. Am I thinking about myself, my own identity, where I stand in this field in terms of my pride and my practical occupation? Or am I thinking it in terms of my understanding? And one of the reasons that kind of debate can be utterly intractable and very, very difficult to resolve is because actually each side has to compromise their own identity, their own starting position to begin with. So Hume would say you've got to be careful with academia because it's inventing a particular set of identities of the self that might not be easily reconcilable with what he actually likes, which is practical engagement. Alternative point of view, backwards and forwards, will come from Kant. Kant famously understands the entire mind as a university, as a school, a sequence of faculties. And he'll say the real problem with practical learning is that it doesn't know what it's doing. The world is very difficult, he'll say, to perceive. Our brain is a confliction of different faculties. We have an ability to feel and to imagine. We have an ability to have ideas. And both of them, left to themselves, will create abstract truth. But between them, we have something he'll call understanding, conceptions. And that is an ability to take imagination and pull out from it the bit that it presents to our mind that is able to endure across time and submit it to rationality. So his point would be is that you can't get rid of schools. Because if you do, you never know what you're debating. You never know what you're thinking. And all hell might break loose. But more than that, you would say, there's a deep problem of the world, that any practical man is ignoring something that is actually rather deep, which is that there's a difference between us, what we perceive, what we understand, and what actually is there. It's very easy to assume the world you perceive is the world, is the world, is the world. But Campbell said no, it's not. You perceive your own perception of the world. The point then about a school is it's the only body, the only organisation that is able to challenge that forces you to confront your own limitations. And unless you can confront your own limitations, you don't know what you think. So that's the history. I'm going to give you just 3, they're all quite short, just to finish up. Very direct, actually, probably people who your theorists are drawing on, though. Thinkers, all from my own particular brand of philosophy, in case one of the reasons I have such a bloody relationship with university is that I'm fairly committed to postmodern stuff. So I'm going to talk very briefly about Foucault, Derrida, and Deleuze. All of them are fascinated by this problem of management and organisation. And I'm going to give you how they're fascinated. I'll just give you a little hand. First then, Foucault. Foucault would say, it's a mistake to understand power as somehow separate from knowledge. On the contrary, power needs to be understood not as some sort of power of the state. Do this. We're not on the Hobbes world of assumptions. It's rather that kind of quiet power we all have to reach into others' lives and organise them. That's on one hand. And on the other hand, there is the way we understand the world, the way we look at it, the way we try and use it, and the way we then try and use that understanding. Understanding then looks on power and tries to articulate it, vocalise it, and so advance it. And the two form a strange kind of dyad. And any set of theories then is linked to ideas about the kind of world you're wanting to create, the kind of way you're reaching into other people's minds and thinking about them. Endless criticism, Foucault would say, is actually just a power move. It's a power move trying to distance yourself from the world, and it's therefore fallacious. Foucault famously thought that it's not that this is bad, that somehow power and knowledge shouldn't be linked. On the contrary, if you're a thinker and a theorist, you should be engaging with the world that is there and trying to move it forward. He was famously involved with prison reform and with the attempt to try and rethink how you understand what you do with prisoners. So he would be very firmly, but what he would not think you could do is have an open exchange between management and workers, between where you're feeding back, because there's all kinds of different power relations that are kind of embodied between those relationships that would make the debate difficult and textured. And actually, if you really want a proper theory of business, you've got to be opening yourself up to the power relations and not just pretend they're not there. But that doesn't mean you just despair and give up. On the contrary, you try and understand how power is conjured up within institutions, where it comes from, why arguments win. Linked to that, the kind of knowledge that power creates, the way it understands itself, and the way that understanding feeds back. And once you've got that kind of position, you can actually start to think about the world properly. What I love about Foucault is not that he's cynical, some people don't understand what passivity is, or that he's kind of very reductionist. No, but what he does is he tries to show you the kind of invisible chords that animate what you think you know and make you see it slightly different. How can we do it? Derrida would give a different version. Derrida is one of those philosophers. He's famously difficult. Because he delights in showing that no philosopher says quite what he thinks he says. And why he will say that is, and he will be the ultimate critique position, absolutely ultimate critique position. I already see sometimes things thought about. because he will argue that most knowledge is based on a form of writing that is ultimately linked to plays of words. So philosophers are very fond of defining their terms and then subtly using those terms slightly differently from the way that they've defined them, and it's that subterfuge that kind of allows knowledge to happen at all. So he deconstructs Aristotle's theory of time by showing that the Aristotelian conception of time assumed a temporal word to get it going in the first place. Or he would deconstruct any theory of management by showing how it's a kind of assumed, benevolence in the first place in order to rediscover it. At least you can be represented that way. Again, actually, I think I would give them at least because actually what Reader is saying is that any theorist involves writing. What you actually have to understand is the minute you start writing a theory, the minute you start thinking a theory, then the mechanics of writing kick in. Now, I actually don't know how you might think about that in terms of measurement. I might just leave that open, but I'm going to give you an example from something I know very well. Fractions. From my life teaching fractions. The point about a fraction, 2/3, is that very act of putting that line changes your understanding about numbers. A fraction is a timesing dividing machine. Sometimes you times it, sometimes you divide it. It makes numbers dynamic, it moves them around. The act of writing them kind of opens out different paths. And for Derrida, that is the point about writing. The act of writing it down allows you to kind of create little junction boxes where you can move from one set of ideas to another set of ideas. So point endless criticism. Yes, you can always do it, but it misses the point. But at the apex of it, it's a silent little dynamo that creates ambiguity. Finally, and I hope, there's Deleuze. Deleuze would be very close to kind of your final point, Will, on theorism, on that relationship between practice and theory, where people say, I'll just get on and do what I do, and understand it in terms of what I do, because that's a straight Deleuze. Because what Deleuze will say is, overarching theories are always abstract, they're always tricky, they will pull themselves away from the world. What really matters in the world is Spinoza. What really matters in the world is kind of engaging with other humans. Because as I engage with you, and you engage with me, we create distorted versions of each other in our heads. And it's the way we think with and through and by other people that allow creation to actually happen. And in the end, that is what makes thought special. In the end, then, theories of management, any sort of theory, as a theory, is dead in the water. The point is, you want that theory not to create a perfect world, but to allow you to do other things in the world in which you are. And so theory becomes, in a sense, merely a set of tools that might help you understand others, articulate them to yourself, and through them change who you are. It's that really that matters. In the end, isn't that what management's about?